Hello students. So we have completed with this chapter number 6, composition of matter, and today we are going to discuss question answers that are given in the exercise after the chapter. So first of all, we have to choose the correct appropriate option from the 4 choices that are given to you. Okay, the intermolecular force is dash in the particles of solid. So the options given are minimum, moderate, maximum, or indefinite. So as you all know that intermolecular force in a solid is very maximum. Actually it is very much, and they are all connected to each other very closely, all the molecules in a solid. So maximum will be the first answer. Second, solids retain their volume even when internal pressure is applied. This property is called as, the answer will be incompressibility, because in a solid you cannot compress it much more because there is no much intermolecular space. So non-compressibility or incompressibility will be the answer for the second blank. Third one is matter is classified into the types mixture, compound, and element that we all know. By applying the criteria, on what basis this classification of matter is being done into mixture, compound, and element, that is being asked. Here we are not going to consider the state of matter. No phase of matter is considered, but chemical composition of matter is considered over here. So the answer for this blank will be chemical composition of matter. The next, fourth one, matter that contain 2 or more constituent substances is called. So more than one substance is included there, then we call it as a mixture, or a compound is formed. It's not an element or metalloid. So it could be a mixture or it could be a compound where more than one element is included, substance is added. Okay. Next one, milk is an example of type of matter called as, actually it's a colloid that we all know, milk and with water. So it is a heterogeneous mixture. Milk is a heterogeneous mixture where protein and all are being suspended in the water like liquid substance. Next blank, water, mercury, and bromine are similar to each other because all the three are, what are they? Water, mercury, and bromine. These all are liquids. Okay, these all are liquids. They come under the category of liquid. Next one is valency of carbon is 4 and that of oxygen is 2. From this, we understand that there are dash number of chemical bonds between carbon atom and oxygen atom in the compound carbon dioxide. The options here given are 1, 2, 3, 4. So here, as it is a covalent bond, carbon is bonding with oxygen with the double bonds like this. Therefore, the answer will come to 4. Okay, 4 bonds can be seen there. Next question is about to identify the odd term, and we have to explain it. Now, gold, silver, copper, and brass. Out of these, gold, silver, and copper are simple independent elements, while brass is an alloy. Brass is made up of more than one element. It's a combination, and therefore, as it is an alloy, and the remaining three are simple elements, independent one. Brass is the odd one out. Second one is hydrogen peroxide, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. Here you see hydrogen is an independent element in a gaseous form, and all others are compounds. Therefore, hydrogen is the odd man out. Now, next one, milk, lime juice, carbon, and steel. Out of these four, carbon is an element, while milk, lemon juice, and steel, they are formed by a combination of more than one element. So, proteins also we all know, water, lactose, sugars, then proteins, all are mixed up. Then in lemon juice also everybody knows lemon juice is there, sugar, salt, and water is there. In steel also we know carbon, iron, nickel, and chromium. All are combined to form this alloy of steel. So carbon is the only one independent element in this group. Next one, water, mercury, bromine, and petrol. Out of these you see petrol is a organic compound, while water, mercury, bromine, they do not belong to this group of organic. So petrol is the odd man out. Next one, sugar, salt, baking soda, blue vitriol. Here you see sugar is odd man, as salt, baking soda, and blue vitriol all belong to the category of salts. Further, we have the group hydrogen, sodium, potassium, and carbon. Here you see carbon forms a covalent bond like this, carbon dioxide covalent bond you can see upside, while hydrogen, sodium, and potassium, they form ionic bonds with any other element if they want to form a compound. Next question is, we have to answer the questions that are given below. Plants synthesize glucose in sunlight with the help of chlorophyll from carbon compound and water, and give away oxygen also. So what we have to do in the process of photosynthesis, we everyone know now the process of photosynthesis. We have written the equation of photosynthesis. So what we have to do here is we have to identify the four components in this process and name their types. So what are all the four components of this process of photosynthesis? This process we have studied in our earlier classes also. So what are all the components in the process? We all know carbon dioxide is included, water is there, then we have glucose, 6H12O6. These are combined in presence of chlorophyll and water. In that case, energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. This is the energy form that is also released. So here you can see when this reaction takes place of photosynthesis in presence of chlorophyll and sunlight, oxygen gas is released, then material ATP is released, and glucose formed in the form of glucose is also energy in the form of ATP. So when we consider all these chemicals involved in the process of photosynthesis, we can see that maximum of these elements are organic compounds. Carbon dioxide, water, glucose, all are organic compounds. Let's make a list like this. Carbon dioxide, water, and sugar or glucose form, that is released in the form of energy. Along with energy, these are organic compounds, but chlorophyll is a complex. We all know that compounds are of three types: organic, inorganic, and complex. So complex compound, if we consider in this reaction, we have chlorophyll. It's a complex compound. It does have magnesium in it that we have already studied. So in compounds, so chlorophyll is the one we can call it complex compound, where magnesium is one of the component. Okay, so this way we have to separate the organic and complex compound in the process of photosynthesis, but inorganic compounds are not observed there. Okay, next question. In one sample of brass, the following ingredients are found. What all things are found in brass? Brass is an alloy. This was your third answer. Okay, question 3A. So this is the answer that we have to write down. Now next question, third B. In third B, they're asking you that brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. It has copper and zinc in it. Copper is actually 70% and zinc is only 30%. So the question is, what we have to identify: the solvent, the solute, and the solution in this reaction, third B. Which is the solvent, which is the solute, and what is the solution? So in this complete reaction, you can see that maximum which element is used is copper, that is 70%. So copper becomes your solvent. Zinc is only 30%. So zinc is the solute. Solute is always less than the solvent in any solution. Similarly, in brass, which is an alloy of copper and zinc, copper is more and zinc is less. So copper is the solvent, zinc is the solute, while this complete brass form is your solution. Simply, you just have to write down the solution is brass, solvent is copper, and solute is zinc. Okay, that's going to be your third B answer. Next question you see is related to seawater. Here, salt is dissolved in seawater. Everybody knows it is salty water. The salinity, the proportion of salt in water is different in different water bodies. In some water bodies like our Lonar Lake, you must have heard recently, it was in news when the pink color bloom was seen over this lake. The lake became pink in color because of some microbes growing in that water. So the Lunar Lake, we find that the salinity, the salt level is only 7.9%. While in the Pacific Ocean, it is 3.5%. In Mediterranean Sea, it is 3.8%, while in the Dead Sea, it is 33.7% salt dissolved in water. So the question is, explain two characteristics of mixtures from the above information. What is the special characteristic? Now here we all are observing that how much salt is dissolved in that water. When it was measured, Pacific Ocean had the minimum 3.5% of salt. Mediterranean Sea came the next 3.8% of salt. And our Lonar Lake had more than that, that is 7.9% of salt was seen there, while the Dead Sea is having 33.7% of salt dissolved in water. So you can see the density of salt is increasing, and maximum salt dissolved is in the Dead Sea. So the density is more. Therefore, it is said that if you go for a swim in the Dead Sea, you won't drown. You won't get drawn because you'll be all the time floating above the water, because density is more in that sea. Okay. So density is highest in Dead Sea and minimum in your Pacific Ocean, according to this list. Then viscosity is also more in Dead Sea. Viscosity means the molecule holding capacity to each other. Okay, so as density is more, they are more closely attached to each other. In that case, Dead Sea will have more viscosity, and on the other hand, the freezing point of this Dead Sea will be less. As the salt is increasing in water, the freezing point will get lowered. Okay, it will not get freeze very fast. So these 2-3 characteristics, there are only 2 characteristics. We can write about density, we can write about viscosity, and we have to write about freezing point of that water. Next question is, we have to give two examples of each of them. Liquid elements, we all know up till now that mercury and bromine are the liquid elements. Then gaseous elements are helium, neon, argon, krypton, many are there. Then solid elements, sodium, chlorine, aluminium, all these are solid elements. Carbon. Homogeneous mixtures like alloy, like brass and bronze we have. So different alloys are the example of homogeneous mixture. And saline solution, the salt water from any ocean or at home also when we are making that saline water is also an example of homogeneous mixture. We can't see them separately, or after filtration we cannot separate them. Okay, so it's a homogeneous mixture. Now colloid examples we know: milk and water, butter, then fog and clouds. All these are examples of colloids. In fog also, smoke, dust are mixed in with the air and we can't see them separately. Next is your organic compounds. Organic compounds are the proteins, sugars, camphor, kapoor that you burn in front of Lord. So all these are organic compounds. Complex compounds are chlorophyll and hemoglobin, earlier discussed, now also in this equation. Then inorganic compounds are like common salt, soda, rust, blue vitriol, limestone. All these are inorganic compounds. Next is your metalloids. Metalloids have some characteristics of metal and some of non-metals. So examples of metalloids are suppose say germanium, argon, selenium, boron. These are examples of metalloids. Next, they have asked you elements with valency only one. We very well know that hydrogen is having one valency. Lithium is also having one, because lithium is having 3 electrons, 2 occupied in the K shell and only 1 in the L shell. So its valency is also 1. So hydrogen and lithium will be the answer here. Then elements with valency 2. Here you can write down oxygen is short of 2 electrons in its outermost orbit. So oxygen is an example of element with valency 2, and magnesium is the another one. Okay, so these are certain question answers. Next one is we have to write the names and symbols of constituent elements and identify their valencies. Now, for example, KCl. In KCl, you can see K is for potassium and chlorine for Cl. K is having 1 and chlorine is also having 1 valency, because they are satisfied with 1 electron in the outermost one. Okay, so 1 will be the valency of this molecular formula is given KCl, and the valencies we can get is 1 and 1. Then HBr also same way. Next one we can go on to is magnesium bromide. Actually, magnesium is having 2 and bromine also. So they are getting cut, and MgBr2 we are getting 2. So as magnesium is having valency 2 and bromine is having 1, when we cross multiply, we get MgBr2. Br will take this 2, magnesium plus 1, and we get the formula MgBr2. Anything like this, then CCl4 is one more compound you can take. So for C, it is 1. For chlorine, it is 4. When we do this cross multiplication, it becomes C1 and chlorine 4. Okay. This way, cross multiplying, we can find out the valencies of elements given in this list. H2S is a gas form. You can see hydrogen has 1 valency, sulfur having 2. When we cross multiply, H2S1. Then one we are not writing. This way we have to complete this exercise. Further, 3 more questions are there that we shall cover in the next class. This many answers, first of all, you have to write down in your copies, try to solve them. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in our group, and I shall tell you the answers again. Okay, so thank you. Bye all of you.